All right, guys, the Halt Act has passed, and it basically means there will be a kill switch in every new vehicle starting in the year 2026. Now, this is the bill right in front of me. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to tell you guys what's in it and how it might affect all of us, and then I'm going to give you some of my thoughts, and I'm going to also explain how it might be overturned. So, a little background on this bill. It is a part of the Jobs Act 2021. That is a massive spending bill passed by Congress, Senate, up the whole chain, and it is now in effect. So it is a almost $2 trillion spending bill. It has 1,000+ pages worth of stuff in there, and nobody in the world has probably read every part of it. So I have a little snippet of it right here, but this is the entire Halt Act, and I'm going to read through some of this stuff, and we're going to go over how this might affect us all. Well, if it doesn't get overturned, it will affect us all, and it's a pretty crazy thing that it's got in here. So it's worth listening to. So Congress finds that alcohol-impaired driving fatalities represent approximately 1/3 of all highway fatalities. 10,142 alcohol-impaired driving fatalities in the United States in 2019 alone. The cost of impaired driving has been $44 billion in 2010. That's what they have here. That's when their data is from. According to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, 9,400 alcohol-impaired driving fatalities will be prevented if this is in place. So that's what they find. They find that this will stop 9,400 of those 10,000 plus deaths a year. And that sounds good. That really does. I mean, obviously, no one likes drunk driving. If we could stop drunk driving, that'd be great. See if we can use the federal government to do it. So, to ensure the prevention of alcohol-impaired driving fatalities, advanced drunk and impaired driving prevention technology must be standard equipment in all new passenger motor vehicles. So, Let's talk about a couple of the rules. There's really only, 3 main rules that they're planning to force new auto manufacturers to implement. These are mandatory for all new auto manufacturers. So, A, passively monitor the performance of a driver of a motor vehicle to accurately identify whether that driver may be impaired and prevent or limit motor vehicle operation if an impairment is detected. B, passively and accurately detect whether the blood alcohol concentration of a driver or a motor vehicle is equal to or greater than the blood alcohol concentration described in Section 163A of Title 23 United States Code, and prevent or limit motor vehicle operation if a blood alcohol concentration above the legal limit is detected, or is a combination of systems described in subparagraphs. So basically, those two systems, they want an ability to monitor the performance of a driver, and they want the ability to directly monitor if there's blood alcohol tested. So there's a couple ways they plan to do this. I have some video clips towards the end of the video here, and I could show you what they plan to implement in all new vehicles. Because obviously, you can't just come out with this and expect new manufacturers to suddenly adapt to this, because it's a wild thing. First off, the computer has to accurately tell if somebody is driving erratically in a way that the ECU or whatever computer can tell that they are intoxicated or impaired in any way. And then B, it also has to monitor the driver in some way to either sense alcohol on their breath or some way like that. I mean, we've all seen an alcohol test. You blow into it and it tells you if you're drunk or not. This all has to be standard equipment now. So they want the car to actively shut off in the case of any of this. So things could malfunction, things could work perfectly, and this all implement well, but that's what the bill says. There's obviously a lot more to it that I didn't read. I highlighted some of it, And a lot of it is just terms that are, used in here just for clarification, kind of legal stuff, and then how they're going to force the companies to implement it. So, timelines for the companies and whatnot. If you want to dig a little deeper, I will link it I'll just actually copy and paste this whole thing into the description maybe. If you want to read the whole thing, it's really not long, and it's fairly interesting. Now, this all may sound like a tinfoil hat conspiracy, but this is a written and passed law. This is on the books. OEMs have this in their hand, and they are actively trying to figure out how to implement this in all new vehicles. It sounds complex. I 100% agree with you on that. If you're thinking this sounds crazy and complex, I agree. And you're probably thinking the OEMs will never do that. They really don't have a choice. From what I see on this piece of paper, they have no choice. If a car company wants to sell a vehicle in the United States, they will have to pass all of this. So this does a couple things. A lot of foreign manufacturers may just say, never mind, we're not going to sell in the United States anymore. A lot of simple cars are going to disappear off the market. A lot of cheaper cars are going to disappear off the market. The thought of having like a K car or a cheap imported car or something like that, new something, you always see those pop up on the internet. There's like a foreign car and it's like simple and cheap, like, a $20,000 Hilux. That's not going to happen because they're not going to implement things like this. It's just not going to happen. And, I may speak in absolute on that, but it's probably likely that most car companies aren't going to add breathalyzers or infrared lasers on start buttons to tell if somebody's blood alcohol level's high. Even, like there's a lot here. So this will shrink the car market. Obviously, less people, less competition. It'll be better for the OEMs that can implement it. It'll be worse for any new car company trying to start up or trying to grow. But there is hope. There's a man named Thomas Massey in Kentucky, and he is fighting this. There is a act right now sitting in Congress called the No Kill Switches in Cars Act. It is signed by quite a few congressmen, and there's a hope that it passes. It's getting a lot of pushback. I would recommend you reach out to your congressman if you would like, because they should really implement this. But they are really getting a ton of pushback from MAD, which is the Mothers Against Drunk Driving. It's a lobbying group, and they have a lot of power because they can play right to emotions, and drunk driving can play right to emotions, and it's tough for that situation. So I believe that this bill is a bit of a Trojan horse. I believe that once you open the door to these kill switches and, with software updates and things like that, once you have the kill switch in place, built into a car, things could be added on top of it very easily. That's obviously just speculation, but I believe wholeheartedly that this brings a whole new list of government overreach to the car market, along with the ability for potentially nefarious things to happen. So I really hope that this gets shot down. It's going to obviously add a ton of cost to the cars. I have a couple videos to show you guys here. Let's take a look at some of the technology that they plan to put in. So let's take a look.
We're here in the main dad's chemistry lab at KA Technologies, located about 30 miles west of Boston. This system is designed to take fast, accurate, and precise reading of someone's breath alcohol content. And if they're above the legal limit, prevent the vehicle from moving. Unlike existing interlocks, the DAT sensor is not a punitive device. It's completely passive. You don't have to blow into a tube like a traditional breathalyzer. You simply give a simple puff of breath into the sensor, and it will detect alcohol in less than a second. We install these sensors into vehicles, begin verifying them, and get them on the road as part of our human subject testing. The final step is to evolve this sensor into Gen 4.0, which is the version that will be made available in consumer vehicles. So that covers the breath system. Next, we'll talk more about the touch system, which is the second technology we're testing here at the DADS program. The touch sensor uses something called tissue spectroscopy, where we essentially shine the light into the finger or the palm side of your hand. The driver places their finger on a push-to-start button in a vehicle or the steering wheel. The reflected light from the finger contains optical properties of what's inside the finger. That can include alcohol, and that light tells us if the driver has been drinking.
So there you go. I mean, look at that. So multiple sensors around a car. The start button can do it. I don't know. They haven't shown much about how the ECU can do it, but I'm sure they have some ways. That actually seems like the simpler route is the ECU catch when you're driving erratically and shut itself off. But if you're swerving to not hit potholes, if you're trying to not avoid an accident, or if there's like a deer in front of you. I mean, I grew up around a lot of deer. I've had to swerve to not hit them. Who knows how sensitive these things will be? It's definitely a scary thought, but that's all stuff that could potentially take place. This bill is supported by Anheuser-Busch, so Anheuser-Busch wants more control over your car, which is ironic because the alcohol industry is fighting lobbyists constantly, yet here they are helping out lobbyists for I can't stand that when it's, both automotive industry and alcohol industry fight lobbyists all day. Why are they funding each other's lobbyists? It just is so frustrating. I can't stand it. But like I said, there's an act in Congress right now. Hopefully it passes. It's definitely crazy. But guys, that's all I really got for you. I'd love to hear some of your opinions on this. I personally find it insane and an insane invasion of privacy. I can't understand how this kind of stuff keeps getting passed and why the government keeps taking away more and more personal freedoms, such as the ability to have privacy in your own vehicle and not be monitored like this. But that's it, guys. Obviously, I'm against drunk driving. Don't try to twist it around like that. But, this shouldn't pass, and this isn't the way to stop drunk driving. But thank you guys so much for watching. Keep it saucy. I'll see you next time.